Welcome to Stillness In Success. I'm your host, Mustafa Nuristani. And now I've got a really interesting guest today for you. But before I introduce my guest, I just want to say, if you haven't subscribed, you should do that now. And you should also share this with your family and friends and let them get inspired by whatever you heard and you got inspired by. And also, there's going to be a secret code that we're going to be giving to you so you can get a nice discount on some wonderful Ayurveda products from Maharshi Ayurveda. So that's coming up as well. But now let's talk to my wonderful host, whom really I recently met, but I felt such a great connection with this person because, all we do is just laugh and we don't even have to say anything. We just look at each other and laugh. And so that's why I thought it'd be nice to have this person come and laugh together on the podcast. So welcome, Clair Turner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mustafa. It's great to be here.
Yes, beautiful. So now you are in a very beautiful space, because what you do is you let people be the best version of themselves. Yes. So tell me about that. How does that work?
How does that work? I think probably the building block of that is accepting humanness, and human failings. So I think that when you start out doing the type of work I do in leadership development, you have an idea that, you might be described in certain ways. And I guess I'm really described as very human and very pragmatic. And so I have a lot of empathy, and I think that's a great starting point for helping people grow and change and, take the time, make it a priority to look at themselves and learn new things.
Okay, great. So how does one get into this space where they're like, you know what, I'm gonna make people do new things and enjoy life?
Well, I guess I'd always sort of been working in that space. I've worked in a lot of different industries. I've got a background in project management. I studied political theory at university. I kept changing direction. I've worked in healthcare. I trained as a counsellor, worked in that domain for a long time. Things like being a transcendental meditator probably shaped my life a lot as well. And then just through evolutionary processes, study and reading and realising that, work is a really, really big part of people's lives. And I felt there was an opportunity to really improve people's enjoyment of work.
And how do you help people? Because you just said something very beautiful, that work is really a big part of people's lives, where people really associate with their job as their identity. And do you think there's a bit of a risk there where people, when they don't have that job anymore, they have this loss of identity, that I used to be this and now I am no longer that? And so do you help people transition in that area of life as well?
Sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of the time I'm about building capability in situ. So when, say, new senior teams are being put together, they will ask me to come in and help them, cohese as a team and set strategic goals and think about how they want to work together and what the organisational priorities are. So that's one end of my work. And on the other end, there's people who, through the process maybe of being coached or being in part of a certain organisation, they come to understand that that's not right for them anymore. And so then my work becomes much more with the individual, and what does that journey look like, and what is it like to step away, and how do we hold our value as a person and our identity as separate from work, and what does that look like? Because we do lose it a bit, of course we do.
So give me an example, how has that worked in some of your cases that have been interesting?
Well, I'll just de-identify, but I'm a human synergistics practitioner, so that's a wonderful.
Say that again.
human synergistics. So it's an assessment tool, for leadership capability and for core beliefs about oneself, and then the impact of those. And I was working with a senior leader in an organisation. It was probably last year, and working away, and she was pretty unhappy and the team was pretty unhappy, and I took her along to the conference and she said, well, they do a half-day conference once a year. And she said, what am I doing here? And I said, I'm not sure. I just want you to listen and take it in. And at the end of it, I said, did you get what you need? And she said, yes, I need to leave, don't I? And I said, yeah, you do. She did. And she found something she was really happy with.
Exactly.
So it's not my decision, but it's about putting opportunities and, reflecting back all of the things that you've seen and heard so that somebody can go away and live the life that actually belongs to them and the life that they own.
Yes. Do you see your role as kind of like a mirror, that you're mirroring them? You kind of show them where they're supposed to go and they're not seeing what they're supposed to be doing?
Sometimes, yeah. We talk about, what's the edge? Like, what is it that they need to tip over into to see?
Tip over into?
Yeah. So there's kind of the things that are known and familiar. And then
I just like Australian sayings, like, these little innuendos or whatever you call it, tipping.
Yeah.
Yes, go on.
Sometimes just like, someone's sitting on the cusp of change, but they're hanging on. And sometimes my work is just about going, over they go.
And is that the most fun that you have when you just?
Sometimes it's really distressing for them.
Is it? Oh no, I was expecting it was going to be a really fun thing.
It can be some of those crystallizing moments are gold, right? They're gold, but with change.
Yes.
Most humans resist change.
And why do you think that is?
I think the human brain is designed that way. Like if you study how the human brain works, we do a lot from our mammalian brain. We do it for survival. We do it for belief systems that we've grown up with or that we maybe need to reconsider. There are lots of things that hold people back. Yeah.
And, it's so interesting that you bring out the brain because what we see is that repeat action, the brain is hardwired for repeat action. So when someone does something over and over, that neural pathway is stabilized and then established. And then so that's why I don't like saying this thing, but, teaching someone old new tricks is difficult because everything is established and that flexibility is no longer there. And so when that reality is being challenged, that this is what you thought your life was and now it's turning to be this way. So that means new neural pathways need to be connected.
Correct.
New experiences need to be adopted and then practiced. So then that becomes second nature again.
Yes. And so a lot of it comes down to systems and processes as well, apart from courageous action and, willingness to take a risk and find something new or better. I very much work with people in structured, evidence-based ways so that they have the tools that they need so that they can then have the conversations that they need to have. And sometimes that conversation is just with themselves.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's with, their team or somebody in their team or their manager,
What about their family?
Family, yeah. I mean, there's,
You kind of stay away from the family business.
I really try to. Well, I mean, stay in your lane.
I could tell.
Yeah, you stay in your lane.
This is my lane. I'm not getting in there, yes.
And it doesn't mean those things, statistically speaking, if somebody's struggling at work or not performing at work, there's a very high chance, must be around the 70% mark, that the cause is outside of work. So it's not to say that we don't bring that in and become aware of it, but still we're looking about building capability and confidence a lot of the time as well. Yeah.
So beautiful. And then what does it give you? What does it give you to see this change in people?
Oh, so many things. It's always an honour, right, to work really closely with someone when they're at a point of difficulty or if they're at a point of change because they're very vulnerable. So it's a really privileged thing to be there and to be trusted enough to do that work with them. It is an absolute joy to watch people grow and change and adapt and to build in flexibility into their character because not everybody has that.
Yes.
And I have a great empathy for that. My family of origin was difficult. I grew up in a family where everything was black or white and right or wrong. and if you didn't have anything nice to say, you didn't say anything at all. They were the kind of the family rules. So the flexibility and adaptability that I have learned throughout my life is perhaps my biggest capability and talent that I'm proud of, and I love helping other people develop it because I know what a relief it is.
Yes.
It is such a relief to be able to respond to the things that are right in front of you.
Yes, and ask questions.
And ask questions and be
and say, but why?
And,
but why we do this way?
And not be fearful.
Yes.
So many people are, kind of governed by fear. So I feel I have, and through a lot of challenge, developed that. And I've completely renovated my own way of working and thinking. And yeah, it's a gift, right, to share that and help someone else grow that.
It's so beautiful what you said, because the gift of being able to see the change in people, and, all TM teachers will attest to this. And every time I see someone, they come to an introductory session and, they don't open up all. They just say, oh, I have anxiety, or I'm just stressed and I just want to get rid of some stress. But then as soon as they learn to meditate, and I see them, they're a little bit gloomy, they're a little bit cloudy and a little foggy and like that. And so they come and they learn. And then as soon as they learn and they do that first meditation, they come out and they're like bright and their eyes are open.
Oh, yeah.
And then they're like, wow, that was really good. And what that gives me as a TM teacher, and like every TM teacher, every TM teacher that I speak to, it's this huge expansion in the heart that you just were able to, not even through your doing, because TM technique is not something that I have developed or I have created. It's just that I'm a teacher. I've learned to become a certified teacher, and I'm teaching it the way it has always been taught. So it's not like something I'm doing, but just that change, and then that over the 4 days, they open up and you hear the troubles that they're going through. And the changes in their relationships and in the way they interact with their boss. And it's so fulfilling to be able to give that experience. And I think that's what you're talking about.
It's very similar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because people are stuck in this way, and then something happens, and then they're like, I just can't deal with this stress anymore. I just can't. I just need,
Yeah.
And so then they have to kind of ask for it.
Yes.
You can't impose change on someone. On some level, they need to be ready for the change. Like you said, they're ready, and then you just say, look at it. But so it's the same with teaching TM, but they have to ask for it. And then when they ask for it, then they're like, oh, God, thank you so much. This is,
And it's hard to ask.
Yes.
It's sometimes
it's
with
like,
some character structures, I'm so busy being strong that I dare not ask, Maybe I don't deserve, but also it would be a scary thing to go and ask for something softer or easier.
Yes, exactly. Some people do say that, I am training really hard to get rid of my stresses.
Stop right now.
I'm like, no, don't train hard to get rid of the stresses. You need to rest. You need to rest. You need to rest to get rid of the stresses. And it's the opposite. And that's what, in the Vedic tradition, there's a thing called, said, pragya parag, which is mistake of the intellect. Okay? And you're like, God, what is this? And mistake of the intellect, it's because intellect is subject to the state of the physiology.
Yeah.
Intellect is the distinguishing value, like do and don't, and should I do this, should I don't do this. And so people usually listen to their head or to their heart. And what would you say is the best way to approach? Head or heart?
I think rational processes are really, really helpful if you're calm. That's what I would say.
Beautiful.
And I think we can influence a lot with our heart, but in terms of being a member of civil society and behaving well, I think having a rational approach is really helpful. But then a lot of my work, sometimes I come away from sessions in my work and I just think it was really just about love, caring for another human being with all of what you've got, is a very loving thing to do. So I don't know, maybe we alternate, maybe it's both. I don't know.
Both.
What do you think?
That's what it is. It's both. And when you said being able to make rational decisions in a state of calm, and that state of calm only is achievable if the physiology is not in a state of high rest.
Correct.
If the body is full of stress and anxiety, how can you get the calm? So you don't get the calm. But what happens with meditation, which you've done, TM, and I want to know your story.
Yeah.
But what happens is when the body is getting rid of the stresses, the mind is all calm. And so then the inner voice, your intuitive voice, is more and more louder. And it's your intuition. And you just said yourself, through so many experiences, so many training in different fields, I've been, it's just like it's been building up to this way.
Yeah.
And you have to follow your intuition. You have to follow where the happiness is. And then you see more fulfillment comes from here.
Yes.
And then that's where you're going to. So it definitely is both. It can't be that we either are head or heart because, things could...
Because we can't separate it. We can't just take that head off, can we?
No, tell me about your meditation experience. So you learned when you were quite...
When I was in my early 20s, and I had been ill. So the motivator towards it was, I think I met someone who was a meditator, but I had been really unwell and sort of didn't have the mechanisms, the medical system didn't have the medical treatments available at that time. And so I went down a very different path and tried a lot of different things. But one of them was transcendental meditation, and that was hugely beneficial. Yeah.
And that was some time ago now.
Yes, it was. We won't mention. We won't mention how long.
Just a few years.
Just a few years.
In your early 20s, you learned it. And so what was that experience like? Do you remember learning TM?
I do. It was when the school was up in the big white building in Queen's Parade, and I remember the ceremony and the practice. And I had this great good fortune to work with someone who I would meet twice a week, and we would meditate in the botanical gardens on our way to work, and that made a huge change to the quality of my meditation and certainly embedded my practice. And then we go up on a Sunday night and have dinner and do a group meditation. So there were kind of the structural supports that were there for it were helpful. I accepted the discipline of that. The twice a day was fundamental.
And some of your experiences, you've been meditating for a while now. What is some of your experiences that you can tell us about what meditation has done in terms of your anxiety or in terms of lack of anxiety? Maybe you have no anxiety, and that's an experience in itself.
I've got a pretty intense life, so there's no absence of anxiety, but it's like...
but can I just say that it's exciting to have a little bit of butterflies in your stomach. You don't want to be like a placid,
that's right. But I think what it does, it's like a little holiday. Like that second meditation every day is like a bit of a holiday, isn't it? It's a reset, and it just refreshes me for the next thing that I need to do, because I've got two jobs. I've got a working job, and then I have a caring responsibility at home that's pretty much full-time as well. So it helps me transition, it helps me to find joy, and it helps me respond really well to life and events. And I can give you a really current example. Last week, I had a phone call that my sister was in a really serious car accident. Right? And in the past, that would have been incredibly distressing. And all I did was I looked at the message. We were out to dinner, looked at the message, I got it from the table, I called her, I spoke to her, and I didn't have to do the fear or the shock or the drama. I just went straight to gratitude that she was okay, she was well enough to talk, and that she had injuries that she would recover from. So it's just that smoothing out, it makes life easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's called perspective, And what stress does is it creates fear, and then that fear, you lose perspective, and the whole thing is like, is your head broken? Is your arm broken? What's broken? But instead, you're able to hear, okay, she's talking to me, which means you're present.
Correct.
You are there and you're assessing the situation for what it is. And then this joy of gratitude, which, what does it do to the person who is suffering? Also gives them comfort.
Well, it means she doesn't have to worry about me.
Yes.
Right?
Because most
she's
of the
the older sister. She's worrying about everybody. She didn't have to do that.
Yes, exactly. Because a lot of the time, the person in responsibility is like, okay, well, I can't be sick because I have to worry about you're going to freak out now. So I better not tell you anything. That's why people don't say anything to anyone. They just suffer in silence.
Yes. Yeah. So we can meet the moment better. I really feel for me that allows me to be present, but also, a little bit mischievous. And to find the humour in things. Like, life is serious, right? But then you choose your attitude. There are a series of events in life, and then you get to choose your attitude. And I think I'm particularly good at choosing my attitude.
And is that what you teach people as well? How you show up to life?
Yeah, I try to model it. Yeah, I try to model it. And sometimes you do that in the moment, and sometimes, you'll do it in reference to perhaps how you used to be. And then sometimes you do it in terms of the future about, well, this is where I'm at now, but it's an evolutionary process, and where I want to get to next is. So it's not a fixed destination. I'm not an expert at it. I'm just adaptive. Yeah,
beautiful.
Which I value, and I think the human race might do better and be kinder if we were a bit more that way.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. Time flies when you're having fun, and I can't believe it's over 20 minutes already. So thank you so much for being here. And Maharshi Ayurveda sent you a little tea.
Oh,
this is for you. It's coming to summer, so it's nice and cooling.
Yum. Licorice, my favourite.
And
thanks, Mustafa.
Thank you for your company. It's great joy to have your company again. We look forward to your beautiful company next week. Please don't forget to share and subscribe, and also check the show notes for the special codes to get your organic Maharshi Ayurveda products. Thanks.